Hello and welcome to the Afree Dominion Show. My name is Freeman Singirankabo, and thank you so very much for joining our broadcast today. Those of you joining us live, especially if you're joining us live from the social media, like Facebook and YouTube, welcome, and thank you so very much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to join in the conversation today. Also, a huge welcome to those of you joining us live from the television stations as well as radio stations. We are really excited and humble for the opportunity to speak with you, to talk with you, and also for you to come in and join in the conversation as it happens. This is really a huge opportunity for us to be able to appeal to you, to come and speak with you, especially that the conversations that we get to have here at Afree Dominion, these are the conversations that we get to have with you frankly, boldly, and with no apologies. Why? Because everything we talk to you about, everything we discuss here on this show are the very things very deeply rooted within ourselves. They are very deep and we care so very much about it. So every time we have an opportunity to appear to you, every time we have an opportunity to talk about these issues, it actually helps us to feel alive. It revives our inner selves. And so I am super excited and I am so grateful for the opportunity to come before you and to really have this conversation with you all. A huge thanks also to HMG Network and affiliates for the opportunity that they're giving us as they're broadcasting this signal to radio station, television stations, as well as all those of you following it from many different platforms that are using social media. We are really humble and we are very excited and so thankful for this opportunity to share with you guys. And with that in mind, guys, we here at Afree Dominion, every time we have this opportunity to share with you, it is not something we take very lightly. We do not take this opportunity very lightly at all. We want to make sure that for every opportunity we have, we get to maximize what we get to talk to you about. Which is why I just was telling you that we come boldly, we come very frankly with you, and we come with our apologies because we may not have another opportunity to share some of the things we care about with you as we have it today. So I'm only guaranteed today, I don't know about tomorrow. So I'm only going to focus on today. And with that in mind, guys, I also want to let you know that this opportunity that we have been given, it's such huge to most of us, to most of you, because the majority of us had never had a voice before. So when we come here, we speak on behalf of our voiceless brothers and sisters all over Africa and all over the world. We want to make sure that we actually get to speak on their behalf on some of the things that they never get an opportunity to talk to you about or to even voice. So this is a huge opportunity, and I'm super grateful and very humble for this opportunity to appear to you guys. And with that in mind, guys, I always also like to say that we always begin this show breaking it down a little bit for you guys. Why Afree Dominion Show? What is it? That's where I'd love to start with the show, because I want to make sure that those of you who do not know what it's about, you don't spend your 1 hour and a half just watching us, listening to us. Get to understand why is it that we actually invest in our energy, invest in money, invest in time for this show to go on. Why do all these assets, all these stakeholders actually siding with us and bring to you this particular program? And here it is. I always say, what is Afree Dominion? First and foremost, Afree Dominion, it's an idea that inspires, that advocates, that encourages and help a complete dominion of Africa. And when I say complete, a thorough, complete dominion of Africa, one nation at a time, by the sons, daughters, and African descendants, all in the interests of African people primarily, and the rest of the world afterwards. So when you see the show, everything we do here on the show, it has to absolutely inspire. We must be able to have a program or programs that should inspire you, that inspire you to do better, that advocates on your behalf, on their voiceless brothers and sisters, that encourages you to be a better person, to take charge of your own affairs, and that literally actually also help, that literally roll your sleeves up and get down to dirty, get some work done. But all making sure that we are actually changing our homelands. We are dominating right back our own homeland. One nation at a time, guys. One village at a time, all by you, brothers and sisters. Nobody else. We're not talking about foreigners. We're not talking about those people across the globe somewhere else. No, by you. Sons, daughters, and African descendants who are on the ground. Nobody is going to do that but you and I. So we advocate for that. We help and we encourage that takes place. And we're doing it all in the interest of our own people first and foremost. We are not apologetic about that at all. Because if we do not start all these programs on our behalf, if we do not engage in these activities on our behalf first and foremost, how are we going to benefit? How can we demonstrate that these programs are actually helpful to other people? So everything we do, it is first and foremost for our own benefit, brothers and sisters all over. And then afterwards, we can actually say, hey, listen, this is what I've been doing. We believe very deeply that it can also have some added value to you in your own communities as well. But if it's not working for us, so let's not start going somewhere else and actually give them the same thing that's not working. That's garbage. So we want to make sure that we become our own guinea pigs in the ideas, in the activities that we believe in, so that all of you watching us in real time, following us in real time, you can say, yes, we actually have seen the evidence. Not just words. We see the evidence in your actions. We see the evidence in your activities day in and day out. So that's what you can expect, guys. And in order for us to do this, we've taken it upon ourselves to actually take 5 business days that we actually program 5 different themes. Out of these themes, we have many programs that are actually engulfed into each and every one of these themes. On Monday, we have a unique theme. On Tuesday, we have a unique themes. On Wednesday, we have unique themes. So it's Thursday and Friday. Everything we talk about are literally within those 5 major themes. Now, this is not to say that we no longer have any more themes. It's just that as we started this program, we found it necessary to start off with these themes. And in the near future, we may actually increase the themes. The same way we can also increase our broadcast time. And so far right now, our broadcast time starts from 12 Eastern Standard Time to 1:30. Which is Eastern Standard Time is Washington, D.C. time, for those of you who aren't familiar with the time zones. So if you want to catch us live, you come during those time frames and we get to have a conversation with you. Literally day in and day out. And not only that, we also, oftentimes we expect that if we actually take the time to come and talk to you, to come and speak with you, and for you to come interact with us, we also have made a way to actually receive some feedbacks from you guys, which means we're not just talking for the heck of spending time. No, we want to be able to talk so we can be an added value to you, to your family, to your community, to your nation. And if we cannot add any value to you, have a saying in what we are doing. That's why we say this conversation, you can be a part of it as it happens in real time or literally on demand, so you can also shoot us a message, a feedback, and so on. And how do you do that exactly? We have a website where you can actually go through and communicate with us, link with us through our social media handler. Use our email, use our telephone, you name it, we have it there. And that website is none other than afreedominion.com. Or for those of you who want to know the whole thing, is www.afreedominion.com. www.afreedominion.com. Our main email is info@afreedominion.com. info@afreedominion.com. When you arrive to the website, you notice that we have those things I just mentioned: email, telephone, social media handlers, many ways you can get in touch with us. We also have a group through Telegram that we would love each and every one of you to come and join and find other like minds. Be involved in the activities that we are doing. Especially if you love what we are doing, we would love so very much for you to come in and give us a hand. Come and help us in the area of interest. If there is something that you like that we are doing, kindly come and help us out so we can actually strengthen it, so we can make it better. And we can actually push it even further than we are currently able to push it. And that is something you can do in real time, something that can actually speak volume. Speak volume on your behalf, on your family's behalf, on your community's behalf, even on your nation's behalf. We believe that we are the solutions of all the opportunities, all the problems, all the situations that we find ourselves in. We literally are the solutions. You are the solution. I am the solution. But that doesn't come from nowhere, guys. It's a mind thing. You have to be able to know. You have to be able to see. You have to be able to be convinced that you are the solution to any and all problems at hand. You got to train your mind, and you got to see yourself as a solution provider, not as a problem augmenter, not as a problem stretcher. Are we together? And so with that in mind, like I was saying, we are able to do all these things through different themes: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. On Monday, we talk about the eradication of African refugees and African stateless persons. You may be wondering why Africans? Because we are Africans. Like I said, we got to start all this initiative to us, to our own people. This is not discrimination. Our houses they've been out of order. They've been burning for centuries. So we've taken it upon ourselves to fix our own issues. First and foremost, no handout. We're not asking for handout. We don't need it. We can use some help, but we definitely don't need any handout. We have all the means, all the resources available to do it ourselves. Now we got to be able to have the heart and the desire to actually put all that in action. So Monday we get to do that. On Tuesday we talk about the Constitution, law and policy review and implementation. Again, this is strictly focused on Africa and African people. We have one of the most beautiful constitutions in Africa. One of the most beautiful laws, local laws, regional laws written in the books in Africa. One of the most amazing policies all over the continent. But the only one little problem with that: all these laws are so beautiful in the books most of the time, but they are not actually benefiting an average citizen. So we get to literally scrutinize what's in these papers, what's in these laws, these policies, these constitutions. Anything that doesn't serve us, that doesn't serve our purpose, first and foremost, we get rid of it. We advocate to get rid of it. We encourage you to get rid of it. We even help you to get rid of it. No sugarcoating, like I say. So that you can expect. And I understand the depth of what we are saying. But that's literally what we do here at Afree Dominion. And that's what we do behind the scene at Afree Dominion. Because we just don't talk about it, but we actually implement that in the backdrop. On Wednesdays, we get to have our testimony time. We get to actually talk about our history as African. And we get to have an opportunity to rewrite it our way and with no apologies again. For centuries, African history has been purposely buried. Purposely buried, I repeat. Most of African nations, they do not have a history today that goes back millennia. But Africa has existed for many thousands of years ago. We were very strong nations, very strong empires, technologically advanced. But today, most of Africa is behind. All our technology is stolen. Again, we're not sugarcoating. There's no need to sugarcoat. All our resources plundered every single day. Stolen every single day. While we are just looking and watching and doing nothing about it. Hence, us saying that we literally have to take the steps necessary to get back on the right track. Share our testimonies. Speak on behalf of our brothers and sisters who are voiceless of their testimony and our testimony. Rewrite the whole entire history. No matter how good, how bad, or how ugly that history is, it still is our own history. If you do not know where you come from, if you have no idea where you are, how can you possibly know where you're headed? So I want to be able to rectify that. Nobody is going to do it for you but yourselves. All of us, we got to do that, guys. No exceptions. I love Wednesdays. I love Wednesdays because we get to speak from the heart about our own issue, our own testimonies, our own history. Some of the things that you will never find in libraries. We are the libraries on two legs. You are a library on two legs when it comes to your own history, when it comes to your own testimony. So get busy. Write it, record it, put it in any sort of format, any sort of media, so we can preserve it for millennia to come. But we also need to be able to revive all that history from the past. It's still there. It's just buried. It's still there, guys. So it's very exciting time, very exciting season that we are in. And there's no better way to say it. I am super excited and super humble that I live during this season. That I can mark just a little teeny button on planet Earth that, hey, I was here. And I have actually contributed in making better our continent, making better our globe, our Earth. It's super exciting. On Fridays, we get to talk about the current events and its impact towards Africa and African people. On Fridays, you get to set the agenda. You get to choose what we can talk about. And we literally get to investigate it and we get to talk about it with you. And here, you literally can run the show if you so choose. Because everything we get to discuss here, it is literally what's happening. It could be something big that you may have found in mainstream media, or it could be something pretty small in your own village, in your own hometown, something that you care so deeply about that can have some sort of added value, a literally added value to the rest of our brothers and sisters all over Africa, even around the world. I insist on Africa because our people come first, and we're not ashamed to say that. The same way in the US, the American come first. In France, the French people come first. In China, Chinese people come first. In Australia, Australians come first. In South America, their own citizens come first. So it's no secret. It's no big deal that I can boldly and openly say we come first here at Afree Dominion. We come first in all activities we participate in. And that is not to say that we are super mindful or that we are being neglectful. That those of you who aren't necessarily Africans, that you do not matter. You matter big time. But until we get our house in order, we're going to have to get busy and take care of us before we come and take care of you. Especially as some of you are expecting us to come and take care of you before we can even take care of ourselves. So with that in mind, that's what we got going on here at Afree Dominion. And apologies also that we started a little bit late. We had some technical difficulties. But nevertheless, we are super excited that we are here. And we will use our time as quickly and as efficient as we can, because we want to make sure that what we have today, what we would love to share with you today, we can actually do so and do it as quickly as possible. So what we got cooking today. Today we want to talk about the topic for today is how does an ordinary citizen benefit from MOUs signed on their behalf by their representatives. Again, if you want to like, what is MOU? We'll break it down. I repeat, how does an ordinary citizen benefit from MOUs signed on their behalf by their own representatives from whatever domain you find yourselves in? How do you benefit? Do you have a right to know what these MOUs promise you and your nation? As an ordinary citizen, can you inquire about these MOU? Can you ask, can you demand that you get to be shown what these MOUs are there for? How do we protect ourselves from misrepresentation of our own interest, especially by the same people claiming to represent us? Last but not the least, what is your role? I always ask that question before we finish every single broadcast. What do you have to do with all of this? So that's what we got cooking today, and I want to literally hear from you guys, because today's topic, I got it because Africa is being bombarded with many MOUs. For those of you who do not know what MOU is, it is called Memorandum of Understanding. That's what MOU is in abbreviated words. And I want to ask of you guys, what does it actually mean, guys? What does it really mean? Because sometimes we may assume that you really understand what it is, when actually in actuality you really have no clue what it is. And so I was trying to look on a dictionary what literally people call Memorandum of Understanding. What is it? Because for company to company, Memorandum of Understanding, it's like an agreement. It's like a standard language that is known to two or more parties, where my meanings, where my deliverables, where my promises, my do's, my don'ts are explicitly written down to definitely secure my interests as well as your own interest. Both parties, they agree on certain promises. They agree on certain things that they are going to do, and they put in that piece of paper that we call Memorandum of Understanding. So the fancy word behind, like I keep on saying, like I keep on telling you guys, do not be intimidated by that. So recently, Africa as a whole, and also African nations, they have been signing all kinds of Memorandum of Understanding with other nations outside of Africa. And oftentimes, these agreements, these Memorandum of Understanding are literally one-sided. On the African side, you barely see the interest, what they are securing on behalf of the people, on behalf of these nations. On the other side, you can clearly see what these other nations are seeking from you, are seeking from your nation. Very explicitly written down. So today, that's when I'm getting to ask you, if you have never been explained, if you have never been coached, if you have never been explained or showed or shared how to prepare a Memorandum of Understanding, an agreement, some document that actually that secures your interest as an individual, as a family, as a community, as a nation. How dare do you go out there and sell out to someone who's literally a professional go-getter, someone who comes in with a purpose of taking over everything that you own, everything that is yours, your inheritance? And that is one thing that's happening. And as always, I always have an example, a country that I use as an example, because it's very critical that we don't just toss words around, but we have something that can back it up in action, or back it up in reality, where you can actually go test it. I always use Rwanda as a guinea pig because that's where I'm from. That's where I was born, in Rwanda. But every single nation, you have all kinds of MOUs or Memorandum of Understanding. Why is it that you as a people, you as citizens, you are so close-minded to this Memorandum of Understanding? Why is it that your governments draft these Memorandum of Understanding and you are not given heads up of what's going on with them? And when I say you as a people, your representatives do not take some time to say, hey, by the way, we intend to sign this Memorandum of Understanding with this nation or that corporation out there. These are the benefit we seek out of these companies, and in exchange, this is what they are going to get from us. Why is it that you can never see where your own representatives are coming in front of you and tell you, hey, what is you saying? What do you have to say about this? After all, we are your representatives. How come we don't get to see that as Africans? What is the point of drafting a Memorandum of Understanding that has nothing to do with the citizens, that has nothing to do with the locals, that has everything to do with the small group of the so-called leaders securing themselves, securing a private corporation, either in their own country or outside of their country? By the way, that same private corporation that they have a stake in. And none of you is open enough. I was going to say smart enough. Open enough to actually figure out that that's what's happening. And most of you who know it, you are as quiet as a mouse. And I get to wonder, what type of a citizen, what kind of a citizen are you? Your nation gets to be sold and you are quiet as a mouse. The same representatives who said they're representing you, they're selling you out. And you said nothing about it. You do not inquire, you do not fuss about it. You are just okay. Because you say, I'm not a politician. I don't know what they do, but I believe they're doing all right. Let me ask you a question. When you set up a company, when you create a company and you invest in your own company, do you actually set the means to secure your company? Do you set the means to protect your company? Do you set the means to manage your company? A successful business-oriented person should do those very basic things. What is the point of setting up a company that's going to milk you? That's going to take away the little resources that you have used to set it up. What's the point of having a company where your employees can actually steal your resources openly? What's the point of having a company where your employees turn themselves into owner of your own company? Where your employees never recognize you as an owner. They just recognize you as a guest. What is the point of setting up a company like that? What is the benefit that you get out of it as an owner? It's the same thing with these nations, with our nations, guys. Most of these nations have been turned into mega corporations. And these mega corporations, they have the so-called leaders as managers, as directors, as stakeholders in the riches, in the interest of every resource that these nations have to offer. When in reality, you, the people, are the owner, the sole owner of all the resources within your nations. I repeat, you the people, we the people, those words are familiar to most of you. You are the true owner of every single resource in your nation. Now, what kind of owner are you if you do not care how your company is run? if you do not care with what your employees do, if you do not care whether you're wasteful or whether you're losing money or whether they're just plain outright stealing. We have some words like corruption. Call it stealing. If there is corruption, there is something that is happening in your country. Something that either a citizen, a representative is doing that is contrary to your expectation. In your company, if you hire an employee, be it a manager, be it a supervisor, being an analyst or a standard employee, and you find out that that employee is stealing, do you promote that employee or you fire that employee, including take him to the court when possible so they can pay back all that they have stolen? What happens when you find out that an employee is mismanaging your resources? You take some measure, you take some steps. You can help them to get better. You can coach them. You can put them on some sort of administrative warning. You give them a write-up. You tell them, listen, these are the values we're going by. These are the expectations we have from each and every one of us. We expect you to be productive. We expect you to produce. We absolutely do not expect that you steal from us. We have given you an opportunity to be productive in this establishment. In exchange, we compensate you with a token of thanks in the form of money, in the form of gaining a better position, and so on. How dare do you come and steal? So these so-called leaders, African leaders, the majority of them are professional stealers. Remember, they are public servants. They work for you, the people. However, somehow they believe they are the owner of those resources. They believe they can tell you what to do. They believe they can even take away your resources and make it their own. That is your Africa today. As sad as it is, the true owner, you've become slaves to your employees. You've become fearful to the same people you've hired to manage your companies, to manage your resources. What is wrong with this picture, guys? It gets better. The same employees, they now become smart in writing down this agreement on your behalf for their own interest instead of your interest, and you say nothing about it. I mean, you are such a lousy owner. That's us. That's us Africans today. If I was to ask you, regardless of what country that you come from, how often do you bother? Check out the Memorandum of Understanding between your nation and another foreign nation, another foreign entity. How often do you take some time to review what's happening? I equate that to you being a CEO, a chief executive officer of a company, and your directors go out there and they seek out another company and they make deals with them on their own behalf, not on your company's behalf. I mean, they put your names in there, fine. But all the interest and everything is for themselves. And they have the audacity not to even tell you, not to disclose what those memorandum understanding entails. I mean, what do you do with that director? What do you do with that supervisor? What do you do with that VP? You fire them and add on some criminal charges if necessary. But none of us get to do that. Why? Because these very managers, aka presidents, prime ministers, ministers, government representatives, they have become so smart in learning how to protect themselves even when they are stealing. We have things now they call immunity from being prosecuted while you are managing people's resources. Starting from president, prime ministers, these representatives, these congress people, congresswomen, senators. I mean, it's gotten crazy. How is it that an employee protect himself from being apprehended when he or she is caught mischieving or stealing or doing something completely unethical in your own company, and you're the owner, you do nothing about it? You bless their own protection from those very, 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 very consequences of the action that they're taking to steal from you. They protect themselves from being prosecuted, and you do not do your own due diligence to do something about it. What kind of owner are you? Guys, I am talking about this. This is a reality that's happening in many African nations. And I would actually tell you up in the open, most of you have never heard of MOU. You think that it's like a fancy business word. That has nothing to do with you. MOU, all Memorandum of Understanding, it's nothing more than an agreement. Agreements between two parties or more. A written statement of your do's, your don'ts, your wants, your needs, you whatever it is, the interest that's written down so that there's no ambiguity as to what it is you're seeking or the other party is seeking. So I am shocked how many of these Memorandum of Understanding between many nations that are signed every single day on your behalf, the true owner of your own nation, of your own resources, and you have no single clue what's going on. Not only you have no single clue, you don't even bother. You do not bother at all. You do not bother inquire what is it about. And then when your house comes on fire, you're like, when did this take place? How come you never knew? How come you didn't tell me? You are the owner, you're supposed to know. Even when your manager doesn't communicate with you, you ought to have a system where you're securing your own institution, you're securing your own inheritance, you're securing your own resources. A good manager should do that. That's management 101. But most of you don't know that you are managers, which is another disgraceful thing. We keep on saying that we have a duty to manage African resources. We have a duty to protect our own resources. We have a duty to make better our own resources. To give life to the resources we have. Make them better, make them more beneficial to our today and our tomorrow. That is our mandate here on planet Earth as Africans. Now, if you are a lousy steward, what happens to the resources you're mismanaging? It runs away from you. It doesn't care whom it goes to, whoever that manages those resources. The resources have a funny way to find that person. If you're a good manager, all the resources, they come to you. They do not care whether you're black, white, yellow, green, whatever. They don't care. You just have to understand the laws that goes along in the management of resources. These Memorandum of Understanding, they help you best manage, they help you secure, they help you have an understanding with someone that you want to do business with. someone that you want to work with, someone that you are going to trust in handling your own resources, in securing your resources, in nurturing your resources, and so on. So what happens when you do not care what's in it? When you have zero clue what's in it? Are you going to blame the manager of yours that they're stealing from you? If you yourself don't care that that they are stealing from you, they actually love you the most. All the hard work and everything that is yours becomes theirs because you don't care that you're losing it. Can we talk for real? So that's when, right now I'm asking you guys, you sons and daughters of Africa, how many of you have a single idea how much of resources your own representatives have already sold on your behalf, but in their own interest, not in your own interest? How many of you have a single clue how much resources your nation has lost to foreigners? And you get to pick up the tab and you get to pay back what's already yours because you no longer have it. But you have no single clue that you no longer have it. Such a sad story, and unfortunately true. So what is it going to take for each and every one of you to actually stand your ground, review how your nations are literally managed, get involved from the very bottom level all the way to the presidential or the prime minister level, inquire, scrutinize everything that's happening. That's why we have these laws. That's how we have this mechanism to ensure that you as an owner get to have a full and thorough understanding and thorough report on what's happening in your own castle, in your own nation, in your own village, in your own neighborhood, in your own family. Imagine when you have no idea what's happening in your own family. You go to work every single day, you make money, you put it on the bank account, and someone at home has access to your bank account, they just spend the money. You don't bother to check to see whether what the money is being spent on, it's necessary, it's important enough, and it has a priority. Because you may not have all the resources that you need, or the money that you require. How will you know that you are losing assets when you have no means to actually inventory your own assets, to inventory everything that is yours? Whose joke is it going to be on? I put it to you young people, especially young people. Please get in the habit of writing down agreements between you and your friends when you want to do business. It doesn't matter how small or big it is. Have something written down. That is going to protect you, that is going to secure your interests, and that is going to remove any ambiguity as to what you said versus what I heard, versus what someone has heard. If it's written down, when there is any issues, then you go back to those agreements and you say, hey, hold up. I remember these are the agreement we have had. I've signed them here and you also have signed them there. Anytime you have written down agreements or memorandum of understanding or MOUs, you are safe and secure. You have an opportunity to actually go back and see whether all the promises you have agreed, both on your side and the other side, are being adhered upon. And if anything is misaligned, you can say, excuse me, we have agreed that here, you're supposed to give me A, B, C, D, but you've been neglecting this. Now 1 day, now 1 week, now 1 month, now 1 year. So something is wrong here. And I demand that this get to be changed. If it doesn't change, we have already decided that if this continues on X amount of days, X amount of weeks, X amount of months, we can terminate this agreement. And we can take you to court, the court of law, assuming also that you have an institution that works legally. Because if you have a memorandum of understanding, but you have no means to enforce, no means to litigate, no means to protect all those hardworking things that you've designed, again, whose joke is it on? So it is so saddening today that the majority of us Africans, we really have never taken some time to protect ourselves, to protect our assets. What is asset? Again, it's a fancy word. An asset is something that you own, a property, something that is yours. It's just a little fancy word. It is something that is yours, that is rightfully yours, that you own. It could be a house, it could be a car, it could be a chair, it could be a cell phone, it could be whatever. As long as it's yours and as long as it has some sort of value, that's what they call an asset in business. How do you protect those assets? If you have all these riches, all these assets, but you've never taken some time to protect them, what happens when I come in and I take over? What happens when I come in and I call it mine? And then I even challenge you that is mine. What are you going to do? You have governments today who come in and they take over your assets. They say from today on, the government owns, they own all of this. Again, I give you an example. In Rwanda, property ownership doesn't exist anymore. The government of Rwanda owns all the property. Rwandan citizens who have owned the land for thousands and thousands of years, ever since 13, 14, 15, somewhere around there, I believe 2015, the current government that exists today has taken away the right of property ownership, land ownership, to be specific. How in the world can the government decide to own all the land? Like a king. Again, we are kings and queens. But what the government does, it has become the private owner of all your assets. They have turned you into a lessee, a renter for 99 years. Why would I want to rent what is already my own inheritance? I mean, what's wrong with that picture, guys? Who can in right mind accept that you forfeit to become an owner and you just go right ahead and give it away and say, you know what, I'd rather rent. I'm not interested. Why would I go for that? Why in the right mind would you go for that? You, the people. Whether you've been tricked into it, whether you've been over-maneuvered, whatever that has happened, you have to endure that. Only in kingdoms, a king or a queen owns property. Nobody else owns. They can choose to just give you a property. They can also choose to take it away. Guess what? In Rwanda, a government can come in and seize your property. And you say nothing about it. You got zero audacity to challenge them on because you've become a slave. You have no word as a citizen. It's like you have the invisible citizenship. That does not benefit you. Guys, real talk and no joke with you. Why would you become a renter for a property that is your own inheritance? What's wrong with that picture? But most of you have not cared to look when they were drafting these memorandum of understanding, these laws, these agreements. You have nations, private corporations from far away who come in and they purchase or they lease land, your own land. They lease it from the government for 99 years, 100 years, 200 years, and they come in and they kick you out of your own land. They do not give you an exchange, and you're like, okay, well, I don't have any way to seek justice. Whose joke is it on? Why would you allow that to happen? That's happening today in Rwanda, aka Singapore of Africa. You have foreigners who own properties all over, who own the land, who have leased the land for hundreds of years. When a Rwandan citizen no longer owns, and you no longer now have somewhere you can put your pillow. What's wrong with this system, guys? Who in their right mind would accept that kind of exchange, that kind of understanding, that kind of a deal? Why would you accept that? But that's what's happening today. But none of you is bold enough to speak up and fight over what is rightfully yours, what's been rightfully yours for thousands of years. It gets better. Today, if I'm a general in Rwanda, I can come and take over everything and anything, including your wife, your children. I can take it all. And you dare say one word, I can terminate you and anybody else who challenges me. What do you call that, guys? What do you call that? A nation run by thugs who have been decorated, who have been rightfully been given all praises and respects? A nation run by thieves who do not care of your well-being, who openly prosecute you, who openly take away your property, your inheritance, and you say nothing about it. A nation with so-called citizens who are openly slaves in the open. I ask you, Africans, I ask you, brothers and sisters all over, why would you exchange that kind of a lifestyle from what you have been previously been given as inheritance? Why would you allow a foreigner to come and take over your property and you become a homeless person and you actually do nothing about it? We got problems, Africans. We literally got problems. But most of these problems that we have, it's because we have been ignorant of our own duties as kings and queens, as owner of the land and the resources of Africa. We have been duped, we have been maneuvered, whatever it is you call it. It has happened. And some people have audacity to actually make you sign these agreements for 500 years. True story. Check out some of African nations. That's a homework I'm going to give you. Foreigners come in and they lease a land for 300 years, 200 years. I mean, can you imagine how many generations that is? They might as well own it. The proceeds that comes from there, none of you as citizens get to see it because you're just slaves. You do not matter in the equation. The only person who matters is your representative, who's become the CEO, who's become the true owner. Again, I give you another example. Ownership. Today, Rwanda has a system that they say they have done decentralization. Like they've given the government to the people. And then they tell you that every district, it's very independent in the way it runs itself. You cannot know what they do, budgetary wise, everything they do, budgetary wise, everything they do, they are very independent. You pay the tax as a citizen from the very, very, very bottom level. your taxes gets to be transferred going up. As soon as it arrives to the district level, it disappears. Because those accounts are private accounts that are labeled government accounts. You have no independent auditors who can tell you where are your taxes going? What is your money doing? You cannot dare ask. The minute you ask, you end up dead or in jail. And you talk about Singapore of Africa. You talk about a leadership that is exemplary throughout Africa. You have corruption that has been perfected. Absolutely perfected. And you became a slave to it because you cannot inquire. You cannot even say, you know what, something is wrong with this picture. Foreigners inject money asked in your name as a people. As soon as that money comes, it goes right at the very bottom of the level, and it goes right back up. As soon as it arrives to the district level, it disappears. So that loan you just asked, it comes down and it goes right back up to those private accounts. You cannot get a report what's been happening. You get some false reports that you cannot openly audit, and none of you say anything about it. What kind of managers are you? What kind of owners are you? Now, how many more other African nations are ran like that? You keep on getting more loans, more debts, to the extent you've become not only a slave to your own employee, but now you actually become a slave to a foreigner who has now given you their own money. And then they say, okay, since you can't pay, I'm going to go ahead and take over your land and your resources until I'm able to pay myself this debt. And that debt is in the pocket of these so-called leaders, their families, their friends. And none of you has the courage and the audacity to say anything about it. We are still talking about this memorandum of understanding, these agreements between you, the people, and other people, you and other nation, you and different corporations. But this memorandum of understanding, you had not had any word in it. You have not had any saying in it. And you don't even know that some of them exist today. How long, guys? How long? How long are we going to live like that? You get an idea, you share your idea with some other people, and you do not protect yourself. And then I come in tomorrow and I steal it. And then you're going to cry about it, because as soon as I steal it, I go straight to a lawyer. I go straight to these guys who know how to write these beautiful documents. I say, this is my idea, protect it for me. Bam! You legally registered that stuff. You own idea, you stole an idea. The true owner has no idea what to do. Don't even bother, don't even care putting in any effort to make that happen. Tomorrow, you fight with them. You go to the court, to the system. And the system looks, and your thieves has everything in order. The one who have stolen from you. And you have nothing. You are clueless about it. Whose joke is it? Whose joke is it on? Guys, this is not something I'm proud of. This is not something I'm happy to speak. But one thing we do here, we are not going to sugarcoat anything. If it is happening, if it is horrible, if it is detestable, how do we get rid of it? What is your role in getting rid of the disease? Why pretend to be the owner when you are indeed a slave? Why can you not protect your asset if you are truly the owner? Such is a sad history, such is a sad story that's that's literally taking over the entire continent of Africa. We are selling out our own inheritance. We are selling out our own resources, either to foreigners or to just thieves, and professional thieves in beautiful suits. Some of them, they claim to represent you, but they are representing themselves on your behalf, using your own resources, using your own inheritance. What's wrong with that picture, guys? It is for this reason that when I speak of these guys, I wonder how many out of these millions of people bother actually looking at, hey, what's in for us? Hello, we are actually the owners. Recently in Rwanda, they have received the president of Guinea-Bissau. And they've signed 3 or 4 memorandum of understanding, I think, about 3 of them. And I was actually watching it, and I was like, I wonder how many Rwandese citizens know what's happening here. I wonder how many of these local leaders have any idea of what's happening there. I wonder how many representatives, aka deputies, the people representative, have a single clue of what's happening. I wonder how many of them have been briefed on this memorandum of understanding between Rwanda and Guinea-Bissau, recently signed as early as a few days ago. I wonder how many people have been briefed by the presidency in Rwanda of the benefits, the pros and cons of this memorandum of understandings. Yet you get to see, you got all these soldiers welcoming. I mean, everything's so beautiful being done. Whose interest are you securing? In whose interest are you looking after? For 28 plus years, plenty, thousands and thousands of memorandum of understanding signed between Rwanda and other nations, between Rwanda and private corporations, between Rwanda and other nationals from different nations, from different countries. And most of you have no idea what those memorandum of understanding entail. And you do not even care finding out. Yet, it's being done in your name. You wonder why you're a slave. You wonder why you have no idea what's happening. And that's just the case of Rwanda. Only Rwanda. Pick 54 nations in Africa. For instance, look at the newly created South Sudan. Can you tell me how many South Sudanese understand what's happening in their own nation, except that they're literally fighting and killing each other? How many foreign companies, foreign corporations in South Sudan digging oil and all other natural resources, and in exchange, latest weaponry to the people so they can kill each other? Look at the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Look how stinking rich, how wealthy that nation is. How many of locals are benefiting from the riches of the nation? How is it that the Democratic Republic of the Congo cannot sell us enough resources, and you hear Rwanda literally outshining the export of the same natural resources that we have in the Democratic Republic of the Congo? And nobody sees anything wrong with that picture, or neither country. Could it be that perhaps everybody is on their little scheme, and you, the people, are the laughing stocks? Can we be real, guys? If you do not care of the very things you claim to love, of the very things you claim to be the owner of, why would I not take advantage of you? Especially if I do not care, if I don't have the heart to even apologize or say, oh, you don't want it. We got a problem, guys. But we also have an opportunity to set the record straight. We have an opportunity to build our own homeland the way we so choose, the way that is fitting, in a such way where each and every one of us can take back what is rightfully yours. We have plenty. We do not have to fight over resources. Africa has plenty of natural resources. Plenty. Africa has fruitful land. Plenty. We can feed all Africans, and we can have more to feed everybody is around us. However, do we actually have the desire? Do we have the mindset to take action? To become who we truly are? True kings and queens of the beautiful land that's called Africa. Can we manage our own resources and maximize the output of our own resources that we have leftovers to other nations who so choose to want to have a piece of it? If you claim to love your own nation, if you claim to love your own country, if you claim to be a true citizen, yet you're doing nothing, whose joke is that on? You're claiming to be a king, yet you behave like a slave. Whose joke is that on? All these things we are saying it because until you can feel that you got a pain, you have a wound, you have a problem with yourself, until you can acknowledge that something is off, something is wrong, you will never take any necessary steps to remediate that situation, to solve that situation, whatever it could be. Africa has been on fire for many centuries as consequences of those who are plundering it, be it our brothers and sisters selling us out, selling our natural resources, be it foreigners who are coming in and they take over. They illegally taking over our own resources. Others, they coming in with this memorandum of understanding and they pick the dumbest person in your own community, the most selfish individual in your own community. And they say, hey, why don't you become the leader in your own nation, the leader in your own village, the leader in your own community? Let's do business together. We promise to make you rich, stinking rich. Whatever you want, we will give, we'll provide. In exchange, just give us a little bit of pie from what's happening in your nation. After all, this has been business for the past few centuries. You refuse our offer, we'll come in and we'd simply just get rid of you. We're more powerful than you are. What are you going to do? Then you do the math and you're like, okay, my own people, we are weak. Most of us, we can't even figure out what this is. What are we going to do? Okay, just give me those few $1 million. Give me those few billions of dollars. And then I'll just turn a blind eye. Did you know that the Rwandan Patriotic Front, which is a party that's in leadership in Rwanda, is richer than Rwanda as a country? Do you know that few individual leaders in the nation are richer than the country? Seriously, guys, listen to what I'm saying. Fact check. and fact check everything that I'm saying. How is it that a political party becomes richer than the nation that it's residing in? How is it that few so-called leaders become richer than the nation that they are leading? Minding you, we have the Rwandan Revenue Authority, which is one of those like private institution that's supposed to make sure that everything is properly distributed, especially the assets of the people. However, you as the owner, you as the so-called strong man in that nation, they look a blind eye when it comes to you, when it comes to your family, when it comes to things that you do. You hire professional thieves to put in the proper paperwork that everything seems legit, but truly nothing legit about it, because you don't have independent auditors who can have a saying in everything and anything that you're establishing. And again, foreigners come in, they like what they see, they do business with you, and they're thinking they're doing business with the people, when in truth they're not. Such is Africa, such is Rwanda, and many more African countries like Rwanda today in 2022. We're not talking about 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago. At what point, guys, at what point can we be honest with ourselves and say something is wrong with this picture? We cannot have this. We cannot continue to live like this and call ourselves true, free people, true citizens in our respective countries. How can you live like this with a leader who's going to plunder the resources in your own homeland, and you do not challenge him, you do not take him to court, you do not court-martial them? How is it that another foreign nation it's going to come in your own nation, and they plunder your resources, and you put a Band-Aid on your mouth and you say nothing about it? If few of you say something about it, you become the target. You get assassinated. You become pretty much an object of. You literally become an outcast in your nation. We are sick as a people, and we have sold out our own inheritance by the lack of action and by also turning a blind eye to what we know is wrong. In any shape and form you may see it, but you are too afraid to do something about it, or you have been bought to just turn a blind eye as long as you can. We are literally doing a disservice to our own nations, our own generation. And some of these errors, some of these mishaps are going to take centuries to rectify. Because some of these foreigners are not going to easily give up what they call now their own assets, because one of you has sold it. And that is why it is very necessary that all of us will start learning what this is and what it isn't. If your nation is sold to a foreigner and you are a citizen, you must have you have to act on behalf of your nation. You have to sacrifice whatever it is you have to sacrifice and return back and redeem everything that's been taken away from your nations. No exceptions. You gotta take to prison any single citizen who outsell your nation, who sell you out as a people. No exceptions, whether they are the most strongest person in your nation or however they want to be labored by the foreigners. If they're selling you out, you have to take action against them. No exceptions. Guys, there's so much I can say about that. But again, time is our number one enemy in everything that we do. Again, I want to go back to you guys and ask you, how does an ordinary citizen benefit from Memorandum of Understanding signed on your behalf by the so-called representatives when you have no single clue what it is that they have signed up for? A nation comes in your country, they have all these agreements in your name and you have no clue what's in it. What are you going to do about that, guys? How will you rectify those conditions, those situations? Because our nations are perishing because of our own ignorance. And because of our literally own inability to follow up and be strong citizens and fight for what is right by any cost necessary. And that's why I invite you guys, take action. Scrutinize everything that's happening. Learn the new word, Memorandum of Understanding, MOU. Go to the registry of your government. Take a look at the MOUs or these Memorandum of Understanding that they register. Study them and see whether they have any benefit for you guys. And if there are no benefit, get rid of them. That's all. That's all. I'm going to stop here. I will stop from giving you any more of this love, I call it. But guys, truthfully speaking, I really want to ask that you take action, and bold actions with no apologies. Because Africa is burning. And it is for you to take action to reverse the course of what's been happening right now. And with that in mind, guys, thank you so very much for following our programs. Do leave us some feedbacks. Go to our website, afreedominion.com or www.afreedominion.com and shoot us a message. Leave us some feedback. Use our phone number, whatever. Get in touch with us. Our email is info@afreedominion.com. And with that in mind, guys, I'm Freeman Singirankabo with Afree Dominion. Until we see you next time, have a super fantastic weekend. God bless. And until next time, have a good one. Thank you.